are you doing? All right. Looks like we jumped to a screen one. We'll get started here. Good morning, everybody. Greg Chapman back here again today with another edition of the Gentleman Gorilla Small Business Marketing Podcast. Today, I am joined by Jennifer Glass. She's the owner of Business Growth Strategies International, and she is a business coach with tons of years of experience supporting CEOs of small to medium-sized businesses, helping with their strategic growth and transformation. Jennifer, it's wonderful to have you this morning. Can you please introduce yourself, tell yourself a little bit more about the people?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Greg, for having me. So, as you said, I am a business growth coach. I work with those small, medium businesses, helping them really increase their bottom lines, because that's what everything is about. Especially in today's world with the pandemic and everything that we're dealing with, it's even more important for people to realize that they don't have to start at a point where they have to invest millions of dollars into their business to start seeing significant growth in their business, right? So many people are so afraid, oh, no, 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 the world is ending, right? I mean, it's 2020. Come on. Let's just get to January 1st already and just believe it's over. But yes, so I work with businesses and really help them increase their bottom lines. And I absolutely love what I do because when I see what happens with my clients, I am in a position that I start seeing the people that go out there and they start hiring more people. They start bringing in different groups into their community and start supporting their community and the broader community at large too. So it's really amazing. And my hope for all of you that are listening today is that you're going to get a tremendous amount of value from what we've got to talk about moving forward. So let me just give you a little bit of background in terms of who I am and how I got started so that you guys have an idea of who I actually am. From where I started making $8 an hour working in a Chinese restaurant. $8 an hour. I mean, think about that, right? I mean, for all those people who are like, yeah, I need the $15 to make a livable wage, I know exactly what that was, right? I started at $8 an hour. And you can't really do anything at $8 an hour. And so I learned early on what I needed to do was I needed to find a way to get more financial freedom. So I started working for a voice over internet phone company back in the nascent days of VoIP. And when I was there, I was lucky enough, I got an $8 million contract as one of my deals, locking up the Chinese market. And it was really cool. It's like, yeah, I signed an $8 million contract. I mean, I got $20 million in international sales on paper. And every time my Chinese client sent in a wire payment of $250,000, $300,000 for his accounts, and by the way, these were 20, 10, 25, $50, sometimes $100 accounts. So it's not like it was widgets of, $1 million widgets, right? This wasn't going to the space station. Um, but in terms of what I was doing, so I started out there and I was getting $1,000 commission payment. And I realized that wasn't going to help me. And so what I needed to do is I needed to really quickly figure out what I was going to do. So I was looking at all of the business magazines and the books and the gurus and all the talking heads out there. And it was extremely confusing because there's this one saying to do this one saying to do that. And you've got the same people today that are saying, yes, we have to do Facebook ads, we have to do Google ads, we have to do this, we have to do that. And the problem is, you quickly realize that's not the right thing to do because they're in it for a reason. They're selling you a course to buy Facebook ads, right? You don't, by the way, for everyone listening and Facebook, I know you're listening too. I'm sorry to say this, but you don't have to buy Facebook ads in order to get millions of dollars in your business, right? Is it going to be a tactic you can use down the road? Sure, but it's not the tactic that you're going to want to use. So I'm going to kind of stop talking for a moment so that you can get a word edgewise in.
Oh no,
and
I'm
we'll go
loving
from
this.
there.
I love hearing this. So, I mean, basically, you're telling me that you started your career in sales.
Yes,
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's something that I did as well. I think that that's something that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do because they tend to kind of have the outgoing business growth mindset, and sales is kind of the natural first job. I feel like, hey, you're young, you're not broken. Like, let's get you in front of these clients a bunch and wear you down a little
absolutely.
bit. Teach you how business runs. And I think it's definitely, I mean, it's definitely a good launching point because without sales, you don't have a business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, and if you don't know how to sell yourself or your product, then I think you're just kind of up shit's creek.
Let me just say, by the way, one thing so many people think of a sale, having to do a sale, as one of those four-letter words. Like, oh my God, I hate sales. But, you know, for those of you that are listening, I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, right? I love Grant Cardone, and he has a book, Sell or Be Sold.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he says in his book is that everybody is selling all the time, right? That as a kid, we were the best salespeople because we threw a temper tantrum until we got our way. I look at my own kids, right? How many times do my own kids throw temper tantrums, and they're not babies anymore, but they're throwing temper tantrums. I want this, I want that. And it's really all because they are doing the natural sale, right? They want their way. Every time we go out to do anything, we're doing sales. So, for those of you that think sales is one of those icky things out there, don't think about it the same way, right? So, Greg, you were saying, yeah, you're young, you aren't broken yet. You don't have to be broken to do sales, right? We're all doing it.
No, no,
It's
I'm
just
saying doing a lot of sales can break you because
without
you
a
just.
question, the nose can definitely dampen
Oh
your
yeah.
spirit. But the problem is so many people think, they don't like me, right? Who was it, Sally Field? You like me, you really like me, right? I mean, yes, it's great that people like you, and it's great when people want to work with you, but nobody is telling you no because they don't like you. You know, buying right now is based on emotion, and it's based slightly on logic, but more emotion. I mean, if you think about when you bought your last car, did you buy the car because it's got three cup holders in the front? You know, did you buy it because it's got this, bell and whistle? Or did you buy it because it's a safe car for your family? Did you buy it because you want to look cool and go fast? Right? It's emotion, it's not logic, right? And the problem is that sometimes, even if you come across with an amazing offer, logically, if it doesn't immediately connect emotionally, people are not necessarily going to say, well, yeah, I really want that, because it's not going to be connecting on that emotional level, which is why you need to think, what are the pain points that somebody is dealing with? Because the pain is an emotion that somebody doesn't want. And so when you can figure out how to navigate that process, the sale is going to become easier. But also remember, they're not telling you no because they don't like you. They're telling you no because it's not the right time, right? 3 years down the road, they may come back to you and say, well, remember me? You spoke to me back 3 years ago, and I wasn't ready 3 years ago to work with you, but now I am. I, I am blown away sometimes when people come back to me, like I said, 2, 3 years later, and they say, well, now I'm finally ready to work with you. Well, the problem is I may not be offering that product anymore, but that's a different story. Um, but it really is going to come down to those kinds of things that it's just the timing isn't right. You caught me on a bad day. You caught me. I've got 30 different things going on. I can't focus on getting this widget, whatever that widget is. And it doesn't matter how grand the widget is, if it's not directly in their mindset at the moment, they're not interested. And so if you're trying to do that cold sale, which is even harder to do, it's going to be a problem. But when somebody calls you up and you show them this is exactly what I want and why I need it, and allow the justification to happen down the road, again, think about what you guys have done in the past, right? You've probably gone out and you were ready to spend maybe $50 on something.
Hmm.
Darn it, the store's selling it for $75. Are you going to walk away though and say, well, I'm not buying it because it's $75 and not the 50? If it's something you really want? Probably not, right?
No, you're gonna figure out how to get that extra $25.
And you're going to justify it later. Well, I can wear it another time. I can use it in this way. I can use it in that way. I mean, it just happened to me the other night. I was sitting there and I got an email from somebody that I follow. He's offering a new program, and it was more than I anticipated investing in it. But I say, you know what? If I can find one valuable way to use it, one nugget out of this program, it's going to be totally worth it. And so for me, if I'm looking at it from that perspective, one nugget, how much is that one nugget going to be worth if I can convert that into $1,000, convert that into 5,000, 10,000, $100,000? But that's the
Which
thing that
comes
so
back
many people,
to, sorry.
it's the problem that so many people fail to realize. People would rather invest in Apple, they'd rather invest in Amazon, they'd rather invest in Google and Facebook, whatever, but they're not willing to invest in themselves. When you invest in yourself, especially with training, right? When you get somebody to back you up, when you get somebody who is going to be there and is going to help you, think how much that's going to be worth long term, right? If you invest right now, let's just say $3,000, right? And I'm
Hmm.
not offering anything right now, but let's say you're investing $3,000 and there's a realistic path to $10,000 in return, right? That's more than a 3-to-1 return. Over the
Hmm.
next 10 years, that's $100,000 per 3,000 investment, right? Good debt, bad debt. Bad debt, going on vacation, putting it on your credit card and paying it off over 20 years. Good debt, investing in yourself, in your business, figuring out how to pay that off of future sales, because that is going to be the absolute best kind of return, right? You are going to get more returns there than you are on whatever Amazon, Facebook, Google, whatever stock you want to mention is going to be doing on the market, because you control your own future. You don't control what's going to happen with Apple, Google, etc.
I agree. I think that people have the hardest time investing in themselves too. It's uh, it's almost, I don't know. It's like a whole thing that people have to learn. They have to learn that they are a tool or a machine or something that needs to be upgraded and continuing to learn. I feel like in this country, there's a whole mindset of once you're done with school, like that's all the improvement that you need to do. Like you're done. Like it's cool.
Right. I got
You
this
just
piece of paper. Yay.
yeah. So all right, I'm good for the next 60 years of working
Right.
because yeah, nobody's going to be retiring at 65 anymore. We're all going to be working to 80. So 60 years. 60 years of sitting on a piece of paper, I don't think that's going to last very long.
No.
No, not at all. So what kind of things did you do when you were kind of getting started that helped you invest in yourself? So I know that you've had a very fun, interesting career, kind of showing other people how to do it. So that kind of tells me that you probably had some really good help when you were getting started.
Without a question. Uh, when I first started, I didn't have the money to really invest in coaches and things along those lines. But what I did was I got subscriptions to a bunch of different publications, right? The amount of knowledge you can get. And I'm going to give a shout out to Business Week as an example, right? Back when McGraw Hill owned it, now Bloomberg, it was an absolutely amazing resource because think about the what the writers are talking about, right? They're interviewing the CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies and they're getting their mojo and putting that down in words so that the common consumer can read about it. You can figure out where the market is going to be going based on what is written in the
Mhm.
press, right? So I started out, how much was a subscription? 30, 40, $50, whatever it was, right? The idea is that if you have that money, you don't have the thousands of dollars yet, but you have that money you can invest. It's a way to get started. And even if you don't have that money, your local library probably has a subscription to that publication that you can go and read it. And
Mhm.
libraries right now have a lot of those available as digital publications so that you can look at it on your computer wherever you are with a library card. So even if you don't have the money, use your time to learn. And, one thing I start my coaching clients with what I call the resource triangle, right? And I'll quickly explain what that is. Think about an equal side triangle, right?
Okay.
So this side is time, this side is resources, and this side is money, right? If I have less of two, right? Say I have less money and less resources, what do I need? I need to have more time to do what I need to do, right? I either
Mhm.
have it or I have to have it to make up for what I'm missing. So if you don't have money, you don't have resources, you use your time to get the money and the resources. And so that's really important as you're looking at things moving forward. Well, what do I do? Right? If I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I'm going to have whatever it is there, right? I want to get $1 million in my business because everyone says that's the number they want, right? Whether they realize what it is or not, it's a very different story. By the way, um, I'm going to come back to what I was saying in a second, but think about this for a second. You have $1 million business. Are you keeping $700,000 of that, or are you keeping $50,000 of that?
It's
Realize
gonna be
when you
closer
say
to
a million,
50,000.
I'm sorry,
So it's definitely gonna be closer to 50 grand.
right? Because so many people think, well, yeah, I'm going to make $1 million, but I'm only taking home 50. What am I doing? Right? You ask a room of 100 people what their single biggest expenses, and only about two, three people are going to say taxes. Realize that is the biggest expense. You know, Uncle Sam loves the money. Your state loves the money. They can't operate without it. But there are ways that you can minimize your liability based on what you do in your business, how it's set up, and things along those lines to make sure legally, right? Legal. Everything is above board. Nothing is, we're not reporting stuff and taking phony deductions and what have you. Everything is completely following the tax law as it's written. But you can make significant improvement in your own bottom line. But that's something you need to think about. But getting back though to time, right? Look at what you're doing. So for me, I started with these publications. I started with books and I read books by so many different people, right? Robert Kiyosaki, as an example, the cash flow quadrant, right?
Hmm.
You have your four quadrants. You have your somebody who's got a job, somebody who's self-employed, a business owner, and an investor. The employee is an employee, right? And
Yep.
the reason the self-employed person is on the same side is because as a self-employed individual, all you own is a job, right?
Yep.
You want to
Just
be on the
paying
right
yourself
side, the
hourly.
business, right? You want to be the business owner and the investor. That's the side you want to be on. And I said, well, I'm self-employed at the time. I don't want to be self-employed. I want to be a business owner, right? So you have to make that conscious decision. What are you doing to really make that change? And so I
Exactly.
started working through those books, through the publications, and ultimately I ended up starting working with my own coaches. And that's what really put me on a completely different trajectory. Because when you can focus on the things that are really important and you have outside eyes looking at what it is you're doing in your business, it's not the same two eyes. I mean, how often do you sit there looking at a document and you say, it looks okay, but it's missing something. I can't figure it out, right? Or that same spelling mistake is there because no matter how many times I look at it, the word may be spelled right according to the dictionary, but and that's why it's not showing up as a spelling error, but it's
Hmm.
not the right word in the right context for what you need. And so that's having a major difference in terms of what's actually happening. And that's why you need the outside influences to really help you to make sure you see what it is that you're doing in your business to give the most value to what you're doing. And there's ways that you can come up with the money. I mean, instead of going to Disney, nothing against Disney, you know, I want Disney to be around for the long time. I absolutely love it. Um, the wallpaper on my phone is even a picture of Mickey Mouse and my kids with me. You know, that's what I have. I am one of the world's biggest Disney fans. But when it comes down to what it is that we do on a regular basis, though, we need to focus on ourselves. And that's going to be really important in terms of how all of you are going to ultimately grow. That's what I did. I focused on my business, focused on where do I need to invest so that my coaches can get me over that finish line to where I want to be.
Okay. I wanted to touch back briefly on the employee versus business owner mindset. This is something that I come across a lot in working with, um, I guess, people that are interested in starting their own business, or people that think that they have a business owner mindset, um, and kind of preparing them for the realities of it. So definitely, it's it's a it's kind of like the pay me now versus the earn what I'm worth later. I feel like um, people are so conditioned to accepting the $15 an hour as their compensation versus like reaping the rewards of the crop later. It's like, do you want to eat some seeds now or do you want to eat some bread in a couple of months?
Mm-hmm.
It's and kind of helping people understand this difference in mindset, kind of reaping what you sow. And I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed is people's belief in themselves to get the jobs done. That that what they're doing is going to turn around in the future and benefit them. And I think that that has been one of the most difficult things for me in working with people that, say they want to be a business owner or be on that side, on the left side of the quadrant, but they just don't know how to jump that fence. Is there, I'm sure that you've dealt with that as well. Are there, I don't know if it, I don't want to say like tricks or tips, but um, I guess any strategies that you've worked with and working with some of your clients that have helped kind of get them over that fence to the other side and kind of understanding not just the concepts of being a business owner, but the actual like mindset and daily efforts that go into it.
Absolutely. So, first thing I want to say is that for those of you that are in the employee side, and you're thinking, well, maybe I really should start a business. There are so many incredible benefits of owning a business, aside from the tax benefits. You get to set what is going to ultimately happen. It can be an asset that can theoretically lead to your children having wealth down the road as well, not just what's going to put food on the table. And it's really not all that difficult if you think about what it is that you can offer, right? How many digital products are out there? Everybody has something in them that they can share that somebody else may be willing to buy. It's not all that difficult to put it out there as a digital product that somebody can benefit from in terms of having that and pay you for your knowledge, right? As one of my coaches, James Malinchak, puts it, don't be afraid to charge people for what is common knowledge to you, but is not common knowledge to them, right? So many people get hung up on, well, money is bad, right? You have money, you gotta be bad. So I'd rather be poor. No, I don't want to be poor. I want to have money so that I can do the things that I want to do, and I can do more when I have the money than if I don't have the money, right? I mean, think about that for a second. If I'm working and I'm getting, let's just say I'm making $60,000 a year from my company, right? My boss is giving me $60,000 a year. I have a 9 to 5. It's nice. I go in, and every 2 weeks I'm guaranteed a paycheck. But how much more are you really giving up based on what you're giving the company? Because they're not
Hmm.
giving you just they're not making just $60,000 on you. If they were only making $60,000 on you, you're out the door. Because their expenses are more than that just to have you there. So that you have to be doing a lot more for them. So think about that from your perspective. On the perspective of somebody who is a startup and they need to get out of the mindset of, well, I have a self employed business versus being a business owner, there's a couple of things you want to focus on, right? First thing is the millionaire mindset.
Hmm.
And this is, wait a second, what did she just say? The millionaire mindset. I don't mean that you have to have $1 million right now to have a millionaire mindset. You have to believe you have $1 million in your mind, because the subconscious mind, if it believes it has $1 million, is going to start acting that way. But the millionaire is not concerned with how much something is going to cost. They're concerned how much time it's going to take, right? If I go and I say, well, I have to stand in line for 3 hours to do this, or I can spend $10 and have it shipped to me. $10, 3 hours. I mean, look at the Black Friday shoppers that used to line up just that they
Right.
can go in store and grab that $79 television instead of me going and buying that $99 television and not standing online.
Yeah, but those $20 mean a lot.
Yes, but the $20 allows me not to be dealing with people having to trample me. I'm not fighting people, and I can sleep
Hmm.
later, right? You're lined
Yeah,
up, you're
that's
camping out overnight. I mean, come on. And nothing against retail. I am a big supporter of retail. But if I'm going out there and I'm looking at the rest of the population's normal idea, well, I gotta get this bargain right now in store because it's not going to be available. Well, yeah, that's the idea of the not millionaire mindset,
yeah, they're
right?
playing on everybody's scarcity mindset.
Yes. So
They're
if you have the
playing on
millionaire,
people's fear.
right, I'm not going to get that amazing deal. You know what? The $20, $30, how much time are you saving? Because you can use that time in something else that you're doing, right?
Oh yeah,
Is that time?
it's a simple math problem. Like you have to figure out how much of your time is worth in your business, and then is your spending that much time going to cost you money or earn you money based on what you're doing? So if you're saving the 20 or spending $20 more, but you're saving 3 hours, but you're worth $40 an hour, then you're making $100 by choosing to spend $20 more.
Right. And for everyone listening, I want to share something with you. And this may be dramatically eye opening in terms of the way that you look at what you're actually worth moving forward. So, we said a moment ago, everybody wants to make $1 million, right? $1 million a year. If you want to make $1 million a year, you have to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 48 weeks a year, making $521 an hour to make that $1 million. Think about that for a second. $521 an hour. Now, if you think going back, because you just said maybe I'm worth $40 an hour, think again now if I say instead I have $521 an hour, how much more is that going to be worth if I'm spending 3 hours outside waiting to get that $20 deal on the television?
It's negligible. It's not
It's
even.
the
It's not even.
opposite.
It's a
It's a,
recordable percentage.
right.
It's not even a recordable percentage. It's like
It is completely lost, right? I don't want to spend that time going
you're
after that.
losing money just spending 5 minutes thinking about whether or not you should go stand in line and save
Absolutely.
that $20. Just that 5 minutes. Like
And that's
so,
the
it's
difference between the self employed and the business owner. Because when you start seeing what your
mhm,
time is actually worth,
3 minutes.
right,
You spend 3 minutes at $521 an hour, and then you are at $26 of your own time.
right,
So if you spend 3 minutes thinking about whether or not you should go to the store instead of
you're
working
already
and
losing.
save $20, you already lost money.
And that's the thing. When you're the business owner, you realize what your time really is worth. The self employed person doesn't necessarily realize it. And that's why
Mhm.
you have so many people who are stuck in the I'm going to trade hours for dollars, right? I'm going to sell an hour of my time for $40. No, you can't do that. Think about it from that perspective. How many hours can you possibly work a month? Even if you were awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you were working all of those hours, how many hours is that, right? Now, are you really going to be in a position to do that? Not at all.
No,
You need some time for yourself. You
it's
need time
impossible.
with your family. You need time for sleep, right? You need time to eat. So if you discount all of those hours and you're only making $50 an hour, what are you making, right? Because you're selling the hours. But if you're selling instead, here's a bucket of time, right? For those of you that sell time, here's a bucket. Whether you use 1 minute, you use it all, it doesn't matter. It's the same price.
Hmm.
Wow, right? Mind blown. Stop charging by the hour because everyone that's charging by the hour is dramatically shortchanging themselves. And what are you going to be putting away, right? You need to look at what the millionaires look at. They look at time.
Hmm. Freeze. Nope, we're back. Hooray!
So, do you lose me?
Yeah, I lost you for about 4 seconds there,
Okay.
but
So,
we were talking about time.
really quick, I can get as much money back as I want, but I can never get time back. And so if somebody is in that position where they're giving away their hours, worst thing. Oh, and by the way, something also, do we just um go out again?
No, we're good.
Okay, good,
At least
because
for
my
my
computer did something funny. Um, I was just going somewhere until my computer did that.
So we
Um,
were talking about giving away your time or your money. You can always get your money back, but you can't get your time back. That's all right. So I have something to run on. So, kind of when you're talking about the time versus money, I think that this is a good place to kind of explain the difference between. We talked about being an employee, but we haven't really talked about being self-employed. So, there's a difference between being a self-employed business owner or a person that owns a business or like business system, something that generates you money, and you're just running that system. So, as far as my understanding of it, is self-employed is basically you are getting yourself hired by other people to work hourly for them. So whether or not you are like a contractor, like you're a web developer or a copywriter, or photographer, videographer, an accountant, all sorts of these things, is you're basically just doing the paperwork to get people to pay you hourly for whatever your job is doing versus kind of what you're talking about, investing your time into a business would be, so let's say you are an accountant. So you can either get your clients to pay you to do the hourly work. Say it takes 5 hours a month to do whatever it is. So either you book it and then you work those 5 hours, or you book it and you turn it into a business and then you have to hire somebody else to work those 5 hours. But then that also gives you the opportunity to book another client for those same 5 hours and have two people going. And so it's at this point where you can start getting closer to that making $521 an hour for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Because in reality, like how many people are really worth $521 an hour for their efforts? Probably a handful of people in the world. So, in order to get to that $521 an hour, to get to that $1 million a year, you'd be able to have multiple, I guess, income sources coming in and stacking at the same time. So, basically, you need to figure out how to create a system around whatever your job is, and then you're basically hiring and scaling.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in terms of the difference between the left side of the quadrant and the right side of the quadrant. It's systems and processes in place. And here's an example. Um, those of you that go to McDonald's, you ever see the owner of McDonald's in the restaurant, in the store? No. Why? Because there is a system. Here's what you do: you get the people in at the front, the order goes to the kitchen. There's exactly how much time is the meat on this side. You flip it, you put the burger down on the other side. It goes on the bun exactly this way with the exact amount of toppings and wrap it up in the exact way. There is never a difference in the way it's wrapped, right? Because it is designed the way that it works most efficiently that McDonald's has seen. And that's what buying a McDonald's franchise gets you, this system. And so the business owner now has the ability to say, I don't have to be there, right? So you see a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of accountants that end up buying these franchises because they don't have to worry. Do I still
Yeah,
have you?
oh yeah, yeah. They even
Okay.
have they call it a hamburger university, I think,
Hmm.
at McDonald's. So they basically send you. I think it's like a 6 week course or something like that. And I've heard it's pretty intense, but they basically just go, all right, like they can take anybody and be like, this is how you run a McDonald's business, like start to finish. And they just crash course it and they go, all right, go.
Right. And that's the key that you want to be looking at. It's systems and processes. But here's the other thing. Think about what you can do in your business to really make a tremendous difference in terms of what you do, right? I have a web hosting, web design business. That's one of my businesses that I have. And we have clients on maintenance contracts. Well, they pay whether or not there's any maintenance that needs to be done because it's a service that we offer. They opted
Mhm.
into it. And for every time that they want this service, they know they've got X amount of hours over the course of the month for us to do whatever it is they need. But it is that contract. So if you are in a business, say you're an accountant, right? If you're an accountant, what's the fastest way that you can start making more money? Because if you do a tax return, the tax return can be 20 minutes, it can be 3 hours, right? You're not charging any different for the return, right? Maybe you've got how many schedules is going to dictate, more of the rate. But really, how long does a schedule take? Because it's putting all the data in and looking at everything. So that way you see where everything is, and then the computer's spitting out the schedule for you, right? So you're making a couple extra dollars because you're upselling. Oh, we charge based on schedules. So if you're self-employed and you have a schedule C, we've got this. If you are, doing this, we've got that. But the accountant can start doing a monthly retainer. And listen, for any question you have over the course of the month, tax related, accounting related, bookkeeping related, call us. We'll have a designated person that can respond within 2 hours of when you call. Well, wait a second. How much is that now going to be worth? Right? If I start charging $1,500 a month, right, to a business, and anytime I have a question, I can call up, right? Because the problem is a lot of accounts are only heard from when it's tax time, right? They're not doing anything the rest of the year. They are, but to the common person, you don't think they are, right? But now, if they can start offering that consulting model instead of just return work model, it's entirely different. Oh, and by the way, it also includes our bookkeeping, right? Every month you send us your bank statements, we'll reconcile, we'll do whatever you need us to do. So that way it works for you. And by the way, at the end of the year, when it's time for us to do your returns, or every quarter, if you need to file quarterly returns, we already know what your numbers are because we did the bookkeeping, right? So
Yeah.
the $1,500 a month or a quarter, however you price it, again, depending on the market you're in. Here in the New York market, $1,500 a month may make sense. $1,500 a year may make sense if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, as an example, right?
Oh,
Everything, it's really based on where you are. But what I'm saying is, though, is that you can make significantly more by having systems and processes and stop trading hours for dollars.
yeah. It's that's always an interesting business model to work with too, because you're not most people don't even call in their favors, like what they're paying for.
Right.
Most people don't even get the value out of it, which is kind of sad. But then that also, I mean, then we get into more business strategy stuff on like keeping your clients for longer by making sure that they're getting the value out of what they're paying you, and
Well, you want to make sure that you're giving the value to your clients based on the expectation that the client has. And then you try
Mhm.
and over deliver on that, right? There are clients who want you to be a sounding board. And sometimes that's all it is, right? I have memberships in some services because of the Facebook group that allows me to be a part of. And what does that allow me to do? It allows me to tap into a collective, what I call brain trust, of all of these amazing marketers, people in specific fields that can answer my question, right? So the $40, $60, $400, whatever the investment is, I can ask this question and I can get a bunch of different answers so that I can figure out where I need to be as well, right? Because not every coach has seen every single issue, right? So if I go to my coach and I say, listen, I'm thinking about doing this, right? The coach can only give me a business issue. They can't answer what the tax issue is going to be, what the legal issues can be, and all of those other areas, right? But again, that's why you want all of these people. And by the way, for I didn't say it yet, you want an advisory board in your business too. It doesn't have to be a formal advisory board, but you want at least an informal advisory board of an attorney, accountant, banker, insurance person, somebody that is an industry expert in where you are. Because these five people can help you before you get into trouble, right? You don't want to call the insurance guy after your inventory floods in the basement. You don't want to
No.
call the accountant after the IRS sends you an audit notice. You don't want to go to the attorney after you got served with a suit notice. You want to prevent as much as you can so you don't end up reacting, right? You want to be proactive, not reactive. So, having this informal advisory board is really important also in terms of what you're doing because it's going to really be key in terms of, well, yeah, I can do this, I can do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been I'm meeting with a new team of lawyers this afternoon actually, and his sales pitch was very similar. It's like now imagine you're driving and you have insurance and you get in an accident and you pay $500 and your whole car is taken care of. Or imagine you're driving, you don't have insurance, and then you have to pay $20,000 for your car still. He's like, that's basically what it's like having a lawyer do your paperwork up front versus getting sued to shit in the back end because you didn't do anything right up front. I was
Oh,
like, oh,
absolutely.
okay. So that makes sense. Fucking lawyers. If we didn't need them, but we do. We definitely need lawyers. Because one thing that I've learned watching people grow their businesses is that there are lawyers and people out there that will find businesses that obviously don't have lawyers and sue the shit out of them for whatever they can find
We
because
live in
they
an
know
extremely
it's
litigious society.
yeah. And they're like, all right, well, these guys don't have a lawyer, so this will be easy. Like, let's just get some money out of them. Let's generate some hourly work for ourselves.
Right.
All right.
A friend of mine worked for a firm at one point whose only job was to look for people who are um, impinging upon their trademark. And then they filed suit. It was such a broad trademark that I would say probably 90% of the cases probably ended up being dismissed
Mm-hmm.
because, well, yeah, I mean, there was a case, taffy, here in New Jersey, taffy is big, right? Saltwater taffy down the shore. Saltwater taffy is big and it's sold all over the place. But back in the 1900s, at some point, I don't remember exactly when, which decade it was, but Congress actually had to take up the idea to prevent the trademarkability of taffy because it's such a ubiquitous term. It's anything that's taffy like. And the problem is that if you tried going after, in this example, obviously they weren't going after a taffy kind of trademark, but use that idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so questionable. Can I really file this suit? But the problem is now, if I'm a business owner, I have to respond to it. And it's taking time away from what I need to do. I have to find that attorney, like you were saying, and then deal with it.
Yeah.
And
On the other side, it's just that conversation we had earlier of how much is your time worth?
right,
How much time do you spend actually building your business, or how much do you have to spend on other things? Because then you're not just spending the money, you're also losing the money,
absolutely.
which is a double hit, which kind of sucks a lot.
Without a question. By the way, I was
Especially,
thinking as a photographer, One of the easiest things that you can do as a photographer to make more money, go into companies and say, listen, you know, here's a monthly retainer. You get new people, you need bios done right away, right? Photos on the website. You need product shots. You need whatever it is that you're doing. However much that is, that's the monthly retainer. And you guarantee them at least up to so many hours a month based on whatever they need. They're not going to need the services every month, those hours, but it's the way to stop saying, well, yeah, I'm charging $50 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Like, so I have actually built a photography business, um, and then now it's a much smaller part of my business because of quarantine. But so basically, that's kind of how it started. Was started with doing like hourly, like okay, this job is worth $150 or $400 or $700 or whatever. And then I moved into, I spent a couple years doing, yeah, like the monthly retainer model. And I still have multiple clients that are on that model. And that's definitely by far the best model because it gives you one of the most important things to have when you're starting a business, and that is reliable expected
Cash flow.
income.
Yeah,
Yes, because when you're booking just one-off gigs, it's always going to be up and down. You never know where your money's going to come from or where it's coming. So just being able to have, even if it's just a few clients, just being like, all right, I've got a base of a few grand coming in every month, and then I know that this is steady. That is such a tremendous help. But then lately, um, as we've been growing and I've been growing the team, I've been discovering that moving back to an hourly model, like a higher hourly, um, is giving me a better opportunity to scale. Because, um, so basically, what I did was took the values of all of our hourlies and kind of just mixed them so you get kind of the average, and then kind of making sure that it's higher than what I'm paying people and covering everything. And then so now it's turned into a business system for photography where they book out, and then you can set a minimum number of hours a month still, so you're still getting that quota expected. But then it's um, filled out hourly, which has provided a better platform for growing more and being able to bring on more staff or team members and do it that way. So
absolutely.
that's kind of been my evolution in that.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my clients, they are a virtual assistant firm.
Mm-hmm.
And what they have done is they moved to a bucket of hours, right? You want 15 hours a week, you want 20 hours, 30 hours a week. Here's our deal. But they don't do one off hours. There's other platforms that do by the minute, right? How many, or by the tenth of an hour, right? By 6 minute increments. How many minutes did something take to do? And then there you go, right? I mean, everything is just designed from that perspective. If you're doing it from that way, it may be great in terms of like in the olden days before we went to unlimited phone calls. You had your long distance. Well, we round out to the first, 6 second increments. So yes, at the 10 cents a minute, sorry, yeah, 10 cents a minute rate down to 6 second increments allowed me to save a little bit of money if I watched the clock and I said I got to hang up exactly at that 6 second mark. I mean, who really did that, right? Over a penny or two, it wasn't going to make a difference. But
No,
the idea, though, is that if you can really focus in on what is going to make that biggest difference for you, and in your case, the higher hourly made that benefit, but it really is going to come down, though, to looking at the individual business and seeing what can I still do, especially when there's that minimum number of hours, right? Again, I said the VA client, right? 15-hour minimum. They know exactly what they're bringing in. So if you use 3 hours, you use 12 hours, you use 15 hours, it's still the 15-hour rate. And that's the way that they found that can make a tremendous difference in terms of what they're doing. And that's what really is important when we're looking at what we do as well.
Self-pricing is always a
Don't be
difficult thing to
afraid to
figure
raise
out at
prices,
first.
though. There's a
No, never.
big thing there, right? So many business owners are definitely afraid of raising the price. I know 6 years, I think, now ago, my web hosting business. I started out
Mhm.
charging $18 a year on my lowest plan. I mean, that's crazy in terms of the rate. Um, but I was definitely afraid of increasing the rate because I didn't want to alienate my existing clients. I tested the pricing, and $20 worked for me to still keep every single one of those clients. I still got an 11+% increase out of that. Now, 11% doesn't seem like a lot, or $2 doesn't seem like a lot, but think about in the aggregate, those $2 was tremendous in terms of what it allows you to do. And it eats the credit card fee, right? That covers the credit card fee of the transaction. I don't have to worry about that coming out of my expense now, right? So all of these things, there's little things you can do that can still move the needle in terms of what you're doing. And that's, I mean, that happens to be one of the areas that I cover in my coaching is all about pricing. And there's ways to mitigate the risk of losing clients. Um, one is just see what the market's willing to do and offer deals to existing clients to re-up. I'll share that one with you.
Mhm.
Um, that immediately is one of those major strategies that can cut back on what you can potentially lose.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think that kind of the pricing comes into kind of two main categories in figuring it out. One is really, truly not just understanding, but like believing your self worth, and kind of. I feel you have to kind of get there through um, basically like running out of time. Like you need to get the best way to teach yourself how much your time is worth is by running out of time and being like, yeah, I told you I can do this for this much, but it turns out that I just didn't have enough time to make my business profitable and still only charge this amount. So now you need to go back and be like, okay, so I was only charging you $25 an hour, but or I only charged you $300 for this project, but it took me 5 hours longer than I expected it to. It put me behind on everything else and made me not be able to make enough money. So like I found that like getting into those shit situations is what really like shows people like no, like you're up now. Like you need to now charge more because once your time runs out, then you need to charge more to bring it back to balance, right? Um, and then the other thing is really just understanding how expensive it really is to run your business, and not just to pay yourself or to, or to make your money, but like how much money do you need to charge for your service to actually make your business run right and be able to invest into more marketing and sales, bring in more clients, and to pay your taxes and your overhead. Because like a lot of people will sit there and be like, yeah, like I'm good with $20 an hour. Like that's enough to pay me. And so you charge the client $20 an hour. When really now you're gonna make like $7 an hour. Like, okay, that's not enough. So when you break down that math, which I'm sure you've done this with tons of people, and you're just like, okay, so you want to make $20 an hour, but you really need to charge closer to $50 an hour if you want to make that $20 an hour. Because the rest of that all needs to go into your business or into the government's pockets.
Right.
So I think that like that's a big thing in understanding. Is like it's not just what you want to make; it's what your business needs to make in order for you to even be operational.
Without a question, on Shark Tank, one of the biggest things that a lot of the sharks keep saying, you have to know your numbers. It's
Hmm.
amazing, amazing, amazing how many business owners don't know their numbers. They don't know what it costs to get a client. They don't know how much a client is worth. So, and this goes back, like I said a moment ago, at the beginning when I was talking about Facebook ads, right? Facebook is a marketplace. It is completely based on an auction. You're willing to spend this to put your ad in front of X people. The problem is that if I'm selling a product at maybe $97, right? But I'm paying $30 to reach these clients per client, right? But I'm not getting everybody who sees my ad to buy. So what am I actually spending? Right? If my lifetime value is $97 and I'm spending $30 per client to get them, right? That's good. But if I'm spending $30 per person to get them, that's terrible, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I mean. You need to know your numbers, right? We're all, like you said, well, yeah, $20 can be great. Well, again, if you know how to properly make sure everything is accounted for, for me, my web hosting business is completely already a sunk cost, and I'm making money on every $20 account that's out there. So I know if I sell it at $20, it's excess capacity. So I don't have to worry in that regard, which is why I can offer that rate. But I can't do it though if that was the only deal I have because my costs are too much. So that's the difference.
I agree with that. So yeah, so you've been telling me about this web hosting business. Is that something that you just kind of had running on the side for a while? That's like a little business system that you bought into.
So what happened was I have been in the payment processing space since 2003, credit card processing, things like that. And here's what happened. A lot of clients that were selling stuff online were not properly securing their website and still accepting credit card transaction information through a non-secured website. That little HTTPS, that
Hmm.
lockbox that you see on the top of the address bar, that's how you know the site is secure. If you're ever entering personal information, credit card information over a site that's not secure, stop. Move on to someone else because that means someone may be able to see your information and you don't want that happening. So, what I did was early on, back in 2007, 2008, I forget exactly when it was that I first bought into it. I bought into the web hosting business because I said I need to give my e commerce clients the security that they need. And because I have all this excess capacity, right? My e commerce clients were not eating all of my server space, my bandwidth, and everything that I was already paying for. I'll make it commercially available. So I looked around, what is the marketplace like? And I decided, you know what, $18 a year sounds good. It was a buck and a half a month for the base hosting. Now, obviously, you need more bells and whistles and things along those lines because hosting is a commodity, right? You need more storage space, you need more bandwidth, you have a higher rate, right? There's a lot of companies that are offering use as much as you want, but most websites don't need the equivalent of $60 to $100 plus a year in hosting, right? They can get away with $20 because they have very little storage space. Their email is going into their Gmail address. They're not even using a domain email. Or if they do, it's still forwarding over to their Gmail account. They're not using it on the server. Or they have an Exchange account or whatever it is that is handling their email. So it's just a little bit that's there on their website that they need some sort of presence for. So I made this commercially available and it has been an incredible opportunity because as people came to me, well, you're giving me this, I need marketing help. Well, that's how I started giving them marketing help. You're doing the marketing. I need business advice. I need financial advice. I need operations strategy because you seem to know this. And that's how ultimately I got into the coaching business because I was already coaching my clients through everything. And my coaches said, listen, you're not charging what you're worth to work with these people. And I'm probably still undercharging what I really should be because I believe in helping small businesses. And not every small business is in a position to really make that huge investment, but eventually they do. And they move up more personalized attention, more direct time. Again, I will not trade hours for dollars. I will not do that. But this is, the way that I have been coaching people. It really comes down to helping in all those areas, and that's what starts making those differences as well.
I love that. So is that more? So you're pretty much just all on the coaching side now, right? Like coaching, leadership engagement, things like that.
So for my businesses, the payment processing, the marketing, video marketing, the web businesses, those are all very still much active. And the way that I combine everything is that the client can buy one, they can buy two, they can buy all of it, right? It's based on where their needs are. I have clients coming to me, all they want is the payment processing. Clients
Mm-hmm.
coming to me, all they want is video marketing. Clients coming to me, all they want is coaching. They don't need any of the other ancillary services. And that is really where um, I allow them to choose what it is that they need. But everything is designed to work together to ultimately increase their bottom line, right? If I look at a website and I say, well, the only call to action you have on your website is call me, schedule a free consultation. I
Call
mean,
me
that's
to
what,
do what?
right. You know, here's the phone number, and here's a form that you can fill out to be added to our newsletter. Well, what's the newsletter about? Right? Here's a contact form. We'll reach out to you. Schedule a consultation. Here's my calendar link for you to schedule a consultation. Well, you know what? What do most people think when they hear schedule a consultation? I want to be, I want to sell you, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be sold, right? I don't like being sold. If I need your service, I want to talk with you. But if I don't want to be sold. But the problem is, every single time somebody gives you a business card, the phone number and email address is the only call to action on there, right? Think about that for a second. You're
Mm-hmm.
giving something to your prospect. Why not have a call to action that's actually like, download this white paper, right? A white paper. Wait a second. I'm a photographer. The 5 best use cases for photography in your business. Download here. In order to download it, they have to give you the email. That's valuable content. An
Yeah.
accountant. 5 things you can do right now to lower your tax liability by the end of the year. Heck, if I can lower my liability, especially if they say like $10,000, give or take, it's going to be, well, yeah, where do I go to get that paper? Because I don't want to pay taxes, right? So think about what you can do on the back of your cards. There's all that real estate. So many people put, just a colored background on the back of their cards. Looks nice, right? They
Mm-hmm.
put a nice, colorful picture, but it's not sales, right?
I mean,
You're
now
not
people
doing
do
anything
like
with it.
code. I'm like, here you go. Here's my QR
Right.
code. Straight to my website. Straight to my social. Straight to a video that'll sell
Yeah,
me.
but what am I getting for that?
Well, if you want to take them from a business card to an email gather, that needs
Right.
to be
But
online. So,
it's right. It's got to be online. But the difference, though, is if I just have a QR code and I'm not telling you what that QR code is going to be
well,
for,
use the whole card. QR code square. So,
no, 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 that's
yeah.
not what I'm saying. I know exactly what a QR code is. What
Well,
I'm
then you
saying
have
is,
the call to action next to it. Like, scan
right.
here, go here.
No, 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 not just scan here. What is the value that I'm going to get? right? Like I
Yeah,
said,
came here to get like you know the tax liability,
right,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have that on the card, or it's a really simple URL to get to. Like on the back of my card, it's get your free 15-minute business coaching call, no sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will not sell you during that process. And it's discover.bgsicoaching.com is the link that's on the card. They go there and they immediately go into my calendar system, they book it, and it's done. I will not sell you. But the value is if you don't buy from me, I have your email now because you gave that to me in the booking. And I now know exactly how I can potentially reach you down the road for when the timing is right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that value that somebody is getting that is tremendously, wait a second, now, right, in real estate, location, location, location. Put that information out there. Put your downloadable form on your site. Don't just give me a phone number and whatever to call you because I don't want you to sell me, right? Nobody's going to pick up the phone and say, yeah, I'm calling for you to sell me, right? Unless I need you to, right? I called the car dealership. I said, listen, this is the car I'm looking for. Give me your best price right now. You know, I'll come in and sign the deal. Then
I
I'm looking
mean,
for the sale.
in today's era of the entitled consumer, um, where basically anybody can get anything they want within a few seconds just by asking Siri or Alexa, which is easiest, is that sales have pretty much turned into like predictive customer experience. So if you want to sell somebody on your product, then you need to be able to provide them exactly what they want without them needing to think about it and make their life better at the same time. And you need to be able to show them all of those things. And we can thank Amazon and Netflix and companies like this for that because they're doing so much research on what people want that they are able to give it to them before they even know that it's what they want. And so the sad thing is that every business, large and small, are now being held to the standards. So it's things like when you have people go to your website to sign up for a call and you're getting their email, like that's awesome. That's something that not enough people do. But then you can even take it a step farther and even just to segregate your email lists and have them just check a box. Like, are you talking about marketing? Talking about photo video? You're talking about web hosting? You're talking about development? And then now you know like what those things are they're interested in, and you know that if you have a special on photo and video or something going out, then you will only send that email to the people that selected that they're ready for photo video. So there's always another way to even take that a step farther and be very more specific and tailored to the people that you are trying to get to become your clients. Because nowadays it's what people expect. And if
Exactly.
you
And I
don't
didn't
provide them
mention,
what they expect, yeah.
right. And I didn't mention that fact that when somebody goes to the link on my calendar page, they're already going into a specific booking. So I know exactly what they're interested in. So when they get tagged in my marketing system, it goes in coaching, marketing, payments, etc. It's not going in, blindly, but exactly. It's
Yeah.
how you segment your list. Because again, one of the things that's really important in email marketing is you don't want to send out emails that are not being opened,
Mm-mm.
right? If you have a low open rate, the reason I mentioned Google is because they're the number one, uh, they're the largest email provider in the world, right? More than Yahoo, of course, more than AOL and those old companies. And companies are using the Google system for their email as well. They don't have an at Gmail address, but they have the G Suite, which is handling their email. I mean, I happen to use Microsoft Exchange because I'm not cool enough for the Google G Suite. It happens to serve my needs. But in terms, though, of what you do when you get those emails and you're not getting the open rate, Google is seeing it as promotional because it's not being opened.
Hmm.
Greg, if I email you one on one, you're going to open my email, just like I'm going to open your email. But if I email you from my marketing system and you don't open it, Google may say, you know what, this looks promotional, even if it isn't. And so it ends up going into the promotions tab, which is email
Which
purgatory. I
nobody looks
mean,
at.
nobody
Yeah.
looks at it. I go in
Yeah.
there and I just hit delete, every now and then because Google keeps telling me that I'm running low on storage space. I'll just go in and just delete everything in the folder because it's, things I didn't even look at. And at this point, if it's something from 6 months ago, sorry, I missed the sale. I don't care, right? Not important. So when you're sending out those emails, it's got to be relevant to what your client wants, your prospect wants. So that way
Mm.
they're going to open it. And so you can be more engaged with them and eventually get there. We have something called our conversion equation: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Interrupt is your headline, engage is your subheadline, educate is what you offer, and ultimately your offer. Each of those four pieces is extremely important in terms of what you're doing to make sure somebody's going to buy. If you don't have that conversion equation going on in your marketing, and by the way, for anyone that wants to actually grade their marketing, I have a free calculator on my website, bgsicoaching.com, where you can go and you can look under the solutions tab is the marketing evaluator, and it will score your marketing based on what it is that you're doing. But the idea, though, is that it takes roughly 100 touches for cold traffic to want to buy from you. Think about the major companies are advertising on TV, right? How many times do I need to see a Domino's ad before I finally decide, you know what? I'm in the mood for pizza. Let me call Domino's,
I
right?
mean, I think
I
that
need
depends on
sneakers,
how much cannabis you just smoked.
right? All of these things that are happening, it's all, wait a second. I got to touch 100 times. Conversion equation drops that 5 to 12 times. And that's why it's important to look at how you're marketing, what you're doing, making sure that people are actually interested. And the subject line, all of that is screaming, yes, 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 that somebody's going to want to buy.
Absolutely. I love it. So I know that we are nearing the end of our time here. This has been a wonderful discussion, and I really hope that we get to have many, many more of these over time. But I do know that you have a special promotion that you wanted to promote today.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, you have Greg to thank for this. Um, Greg convinced me that I should offer you all 30 days access to my award-winning e-learning marketing system. It covers so many of the strategies that I use on a regular basis with my clients to help them really start figuring out what it is that they are doing with their business, what it is that they're doing with their marketing, what is it that is going to make the biggest impact on your revenue and your bottom line right away. So if you go to bgsiacademy.com, again, B as in business, G as in growth, S as in strategies, I as in international, academy.com, and you use the coupon code Chapman, CHAPMAN, all lowercase, you will get 1 month free, 30 days free. That's a $97 value, all courtesy of Greg, because he's such an amazing guy for all of you out there. It is absolutely incredible. Get the 30 days access. When you go there, you just have to go to the bottom and sign up for the page, and you will get the 30 days access when you use coupon code Chapman.
Hooray. I think I'm going to want to sign up for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Hmm. So today was absolutely wonderful. I'm happy that we got to hop on. This has been
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you.
I think that there's definitely a lot of crossover between our businesses. And I think that we definitely can have a lot to talk about.
There's always a ton out there, and I want to thank you for having me, and I am happy to keep chatting away with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we could have this discussion go for 12 hours easy. So,
Oh, without a question.
well, it was so wonderful talking with you today and getting to know you. And yeah, everybody, if you missed that, go to bgsiacademy.com, type in the access code Chapman, lowercase c, you get 30 days for free, $97 package. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and have a wonderful rest of your day, Jennifer.
You too, Greg. Thank you so much. And for everyone out there, have a great day and make it a meaningful one.
All right. Thank you, everybody.